I wanted to do a collaboration show with him because he played more rap in that and I did more of the R&B thing. But I figured, you know what? If we did a collaboration show, because his show came on right before mine anyway, so it could be like a 3-hour block and it could be huge. But the thing was, he was so worried about the fact that somehow, even though I hadn't been doing my solo show as long as he had, that somehow I would take away from his fan base. That every time I asked him, he would send me a message, but the message would end up being just a promotion for his show. But he would never actually come on my show. And it was like, okay, you know, and then eventually I just gave up. And I ultimately did collaborations with other people. But the thing was, it's like, you know what? I'm not trying to take away from your crowd. Not at all. If anything, if you say have 100 fans, for instance, and I have 50 fans, if we're doing the same kind of thing and we do a collaboration, it's not that somehow I'm going to be taking away from you. Looking at it that way is looking at it the wrong way. If anything, you're going to gain 50 fans and I'm going to gain 100 fans. So both of us are going to benefit from, you know what I mean, from helping each other out, because it's possible that the 50 people that were listening to me might not have been listening to you and vice versa. You know what I mean? So it's not an issue of competition. It's just, if there's things that you do that I don't do and vice versa, we can help each other out and then both of us can be successful. But I find too often that a lot of times when it comes to people who work in the same field, there's that jealousy factor there where it's like, well, I won't help him out. I could, but somehow he's going to affect me in a negative way, when that's really the wrong way to look.
A lot of people think like that, and it's totally wrong, because nothing makes me happier than when Andrew tells me how well he's doing. Now, I wasn't Andrew's only teacher, okay? He did have another person that taught him, okay? And I'm just proud, you know, to be part of that, you know, that he moved forward because I helped him. I got help too. I mean, that's why I pay it forward, because Mark Warlock and another painter back 30 years ago both taught me. I mean, if they hadn't have taken the time out to teach me how to polish and do paint correction, there's no way. There's no way. And they changed my life. And that's the thing. Like, the opportunity to change somebody's life is more than keeping stuff to yourself. That's just stupidity, because that's like I said it the other day, it's like buying a book and never taking it off the shelf and reading it. It's stupid. Why would you keep all that information locked up where nobody can get access to it? That's stupid. You know, you're only hurting yourself, because you're giving up an opportunity to change somebody else's life. And you know, if you go and you help somebody, you know they're going to come around and eventually it's going to come back. You know, either they're going to help you or somebody is going to see that you've helped that person and they're going to want to help you. It's a good thing. Like my father taught me when I was a kid. He used to say, do things because it's the right thing to do. If somebody needs help, you help them. He goes, it doesn't matter about anything else. If they're a human being and they need help, you help them. That's the way it is, you know?
Yeah. Well, and that's the thing. And I mean, you also have to look at it from the standpoint that if you're going to help someone, if you're truly going to help someone anywhere, you have to do it from the standpoint that you don't expect anything back. And because there's going to be some people who will pay it forward, but then there's going to be some people who are just going to get it and they're just going to go. And you know what? The thing is if you're being genuine and you wanting to help someone, then it won't matter if you get it back or not. Now, ideally, obviously, of course, it would be cool if if you were recognized for what you did in that, but you want it to come naturally. Like if you're just fishing for compliments or whatever else, yeah, they can compliment you or thank you or whatever, but it just feels a lot more fulfilling if you help someone out and then they come back and be like, you know what, Dean, I really appreciate what you did for me here. You know what? I learned a lot of stuff from you. And you know, I wouldn't be here without you, so I thank you. You know, as opposed to you being like, okay, so you're going to thank me, right? You know, or be upset because maybe the person does come back and helps you out, but maybe they're not able to help you the exact same way that you were able to help them because maybe they're not in a position to. And then you're mad because, well, they didn't pay it back exactly. It's like, no, that's not the reason why you should be doing that, you know?
I met Jimbo Balaam down in Vegas, right at SEMA. And Jimbo does his podcast, and he's fantastic. I mean, he was the first one ever to do the Detailers podcast. And, you know, a lot of people listen to it. And when
Yeah.
I started, I told him what I was doing, and he's right there in my corner telling me, "Hey, that's fantastic, man. That's fantastic." Like,
Nice.
and here's a guy that could just say, you know, I don't want to talk to you anymore because, you know, you're trying to compete with me. But he's not like that, and that's why I support everybody that's out there supporting others, man, because you know, it's fantastic to help people because it's just more opportunity for people to learn. It's not like I'm trying to copy him or he's copying me. It's not like that. It's just we're both providing more information. That was the whole purpose of doing the Detailers Guild, was because when I started out, there was no information. Like
Yeah.
if you didn't know how to detail and you start your own business, you're gonna starve to death. And I almost did. Like I had a rough go when I first started doing it. And like I said, I don't ever want to see anybody go through that. That's why I created the Detailers Guild. That's why I post videos. That's why I help anybody that reaches out to me and says, "Dean, can you help me?" I've had video conversations with people on Messenger for an hour and 45 minutes to help them out.
Hmm.
And they're not even in my town. I mean, these are people in the States. I talked to one guy in Alabama. I talked to another guy. I talked to one guy, and he just where the heck is he? He's down in Mexico, and he spoke English. You know, because at first I was nervous to pick it up because I don't speak Spanish. But you know, he was speaking English to me, and we got through it. And you know, I answered his questions, and it's cool because you get people reaching out to you, and you help them out, and they're thankful. You made somebody's day. You know.
No, it absolutely makes sense. And you know, the other thing I was going to say too is that, like, when you gave the example of having the book and not reading it, the thing about it
Yeah.
is if you help somebody out, you're gonna leave a legacy. Because if you just have a bunch of information, and we could use the example of, say, like a recipe, you're someone who has some cool recipe on how to make the ultimate chocolate chip cookie, and
Yeah.
you open up a business and you're making these cookies, and you know what, everybody's coming there, they're talking about, Dell's chocolate chip cookies are the best around. Well, if I'm the
Mhm.
only person that has the special ingredient, like, just say the ingredient is shredded zucchini, if for whatever
Yeah.
reason that's the secret, if I don't tell anybody else, then when I go, it goes with me, and then the
Oh
legacy
yeah.
ends. But if I tell someone else and say, okay, you know what, maybe I pass it down when I decide to retire, I pass that
Yeah.
down to someone else, then the legacy continues. And it's just like with regular information. If you know something, you tell someone else, then that means that someone else knows because you got it from somebody. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So your legacy lives on through the fact that people know how to do this technique or whatever, because maybe it is something that you perfected. But if you let people know how to do it, then it's going to go on and on and on. And especially in this day and age where stuff gets recorded on the internet and whatnot, you'll be
Yeah.
immortalized. You know what I mean?